Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment of Health Professional Radio. In this segment, we're going to have a conversation with Dr. Jamin Brahmbhatt. He's joining us here as a board-certified urologist and co-author of a recent consensus statement on Saw Palmetto extract published in the journal Uro. He's going to discuss enlarged prostate and the role of Saw Palmetto in supporting prostate health. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Tell us a bit about yourself and what led you to this report.
So I'm a urologist. I'm a board-certified urologist. I have been since 2013. What really led me to kind of really get into like natural remedies, or is there something more preventive that we can do beyond just prescriptions and surgeries in the office? It was really patient-driven. Like patients would come in and say they're on certain things, or they would ask for recommendations. And so then it got me thinking, okay, for all the things that I deal with in urology, so urologists are essentially the surgeons and the medical doctors of everything below the kidney. So essentially your urinary and reproductive tract. So we're pretty much the human plumbers. So when it comes to the plumbing, one of the most important parts of a man's plumbing is actually his prostate. Mm-hmm. So it was really patient-driven about, hey, what can I do for my prostate that's a little bit more preventative? And that's what kind of got me really excited and kind of delving deeper into the knowledge and the research on, everything that is about the prostate and what can be done preventively, for it.
As men, especially men of a certain age, we hear a lot about enlarged prostate. We hear a lot about getting checked out. How common is it for men to experience enlarged prostate as we age?
It's actually very common. Like I would say 3 to 5 men that live here in Florida have enlarged prostates. Almost 60% of men over the age of 50 will start having symptoms of enlarged prostate. I think it's very important for patients to know that it's not always enlarged prostate. There's also prostate cancer that could be causing some of these symptoms. So it's always good to kind of go see a medical professional to figure it out. But most of the time, it is that little walnut-sized organ that kind of gets enlarged and starts causing you to have trouble peeing.
Is an enlarged prostate 100% of the time cause for alarm?
I would say yes. If you are someone that sees a change in the way you're peeing, I think it's always good to get checked by your primary care doctor or come and see a urologist. Because that cause for alarm could also get you in for other screenings when it comes to your urologic health. So absolutely, if you're like, man, something's just not right, it's kind of like very similar to what you would do for your car. Like if you hear a sound or if you see a light go off, you're going to go and get yourself, go to the auto shop and get checked. It's the same way when it comes to your prostate and your overall health as a guy.
Are the symptoms of enlarged prostate more than just irregular urinary activity?
Yeah, so you can divide into 2 ways. There's an issue with like the flow and then also the function of your bladder. So you could have weak stream. You could have a need to kind of like push those last few drops out. You could feel like you're not emptying the bladder, or your bladder itself could be overactive. Some of the other things that we don't think about is sometimes enlarged prostate could get you to wake up more at night. It can also cause you to feel fatigued the next day if you haven't had that sleep, or it could cause you to not go on vacations and sit in a plane because you're like, man, I have to get up every 5 minutes to go pee. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that we will see subjectively, objectively. There's also a huge part of it that's about a good quality of life.
Is there ever any pain involved? Is that something that would trigger someone to go get checked out?
Usually for enlarged prostate, there is no pain involved per se. Mm-hmm. It may be a pain in the beat, like you have to go to the bathroom all the time. Mm-hmm. But if you're having pain, that's a huge red flag that you got to get checked out. But usually enlarged prostate, there's no pain involved with it.
So you talked about quality of life. Other than, having to get up to go pee, not feeling like you've voided completely, waking up and things of that nature, what other effects can it have on men?
So some of the effects that I mentioned are it can cause you to have lack of sleep. It can affect what you want to do in terms of your habits and your travel plans. It can also make you feel fatigued. There's even some research showing that it can even lead to like you having symptoms of low testosterone.
What can we do to support prostate health?
So to support prostate health, I think first is as we spoke about or briefly spoke about is like, if you have a problem, go and get yourself checked out. But the thing is that for right now, most men essentially show up to a doctor's office when it's a little bit too late, I would say. Like it's like the symptoms become moderate to severe. So I think what we can do, especially since September is Prostate Health Awareness Month, is like, hey, what can we do that can be proactive. And that's what really got us into kind of the study and looking at, hey, is there anything natural that men can take that could really support their prostate health for now and in the future?
I understand that research has shown some positive results concerning Saw Palmetto extract.
Absolutely. So that's the paper that we recently worked on for over a year. The problem with natural supplements is they're not regulated by the FDA. There's like almost 80,000 products out there. So when it comes to Saw Palmetto, some of the research was kind of fragmented. Like there were like hundreds of studies done in different languages and different forms. So it was kind of hard to really see like that having that confidence in the research on it. But what we did was we looked at all these papers. We spent a lot of time looking at all these papers. 7 of us got together. We looked at over 50 research papers, and some of them were even translated from other languages. And we kind of standardized the way we looked at them. And then we realized the Saw Palmetto really, if you look at all the research, has a lot of positive effects for men that have mild to moderate symptoms when it comes to urination, or men that just want to be proactive with their prostate health. It was kind of mind-blowing to me, being one of the researchers on it. It's like, well, for a long time I thought it was like inconclusive, but now I'm like, wow, like I have confidence in telling patients that, hey, this is something that you should try.
Go a little bit into detail about this consensus statement that you authored.
So this consensus statement, essentially we got together and looked at all the research, and in these, we pretty much put together 7 statements. Some of them are like research things about, what could be the potential mechanism of action. So how does the Saw Palmetto kind of affect things around the prostate? So we found that it can decrease inflammation. It can kind of, trigger some other things or downregulate certain things that could help a man's flow overall. But then we also looked at the other bodies of research and kind of said, okay, the negative studies that were out there, okay, this is what was wrong with these studies, and let's look at everything. And what we essentially found was that the issue with most of the products out there is that, one, they're not regulated, and number 2, they don't have that high quality Saw Palmetto extract. So really, if I have to kind of conclude at the end of the day, you got to get the high quality stuff, which a lot of people don't make and is not available or was not available until recently out there in the market.
Where does Saw Palmetto extract come from?
So Saw Palmetto comes from where I live right now. Most of it actually does come from the Southeast USA, mostly in Florida. And it's actually a little berry that grows on palm trees. And
you say there are quality and not so quality strains out there?
Yeah, so a lot of the extracts that are out there are like powder-based. And those don't have like really high fatty acid content. So if you look at the study, we looked at what really makes Saw Palmetto work when you take it as a supplement is the amount of fatty acids within it. A lot of these powders may have 20 or 30% of these fatty acids, but what we found in the high quality, like liquid oil extract, when you have over 80% fatty acids, that's when you kind of see the most positive effects. And to be honest with you, there's actually a product in Europe that is prescription based. And some of the supplements here in the U.S. now actually have the same stuff, but it's a supplement. So there's actually medical grade stuff in other countries that is essentially supplement-based stuff here in America. So it's pretty cool that it's so accessible for us here.
Jamin, where can listeners go and get more information about Saw Palmetto?
Listeners should go to Flomentum.com, and you can actually see all the research that's been done on that individual product. They actually go over a lot of the research that I discussed. And, in my office, that's actually what I recommend the most of, because it actually is the only product out there in the market that actually holds true to all the quality standards and pretty much everything that we found in the research paper. It meets that, and I actually give it to my patients all the time. I recommend it for the prostate health. So I think that's probably a pretty good website if I have to list one to go to.
And that's spelled Flomentum, FLOMENTUM.com, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Jamin. I'm so happy that you decided to give us some of your time this morning. Hopefully you'll come back and educate us more on some of these supplements to support prostate health.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Dr. Jamin Brahmbhatt. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download at SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Health Professional Radio.